let there be light. Okay, that should be better. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Plot Twist. So in my TBR game for July, we had a purple rolled, which means we need to do a vlog, and the one that was picked was Plot Twist. I've had 3 previous episodes in this series where basically we pick a card from this box that I purchased myself sometime last year. And it's mystery books. They'll tell us like the genre it's supposed to be in, the feel of it, that kind of thing. And then we scratch it off and figure out what it is and read it. There's a couple things in here that I know what they are. Like I know there's a Colleen Hoover in here somewhere under romance, but I'm never going to read Colleen Hoover. And then I know that there's a fantasy in here that I'm pretty sure is House in the Cerulean Sea, which I've also read as well, just based on publication year, page number, when it was published, that kind of thing. Like I'm pretty sure I know what that is. So Presley is going to help us pick exactly what card we're going to scratch off today because it was his roll that we did during the game and he's going to help us pick the card. I am looking for something that's going to get me out of a reading slump. I have been in a reading slump all month. I have not finished a book all month. We are over halfway through the month now. And yeah, I think I'm in the middle of like 3 things, like actively in the middle. I'm in the middle of 2 arcs, things that I started before the books came out, and they've just been taking forever to actually read. So the dates have come and gone, plus an audiobook that I assumed was going to be better than it was, and not like the audiobook, but like the actual book. And so now I'm at the point where I'm like, do I just DNF and give up? Or do I continue? Like, I'm just like, meh. I can't tell if it's me or the books. I'm pretty sure part of it is me. We just got back from like a 4-day road trip as well. Like my headspace is completely weird right now. So I want something that's gonna get me out of this funk. I don't know if that means I want like something completely different than what I have been reading, which I feel like maybe a mystery or a horror or a thriller could do that. Or if I want something that's more of like a quick feel good, like maybe I'll like go by the number of pages and pick something that's sort of short, but it's supposed to be cozier. I don't know. Presley's gonna help us, like I said. So I'm thinking I might pick 1 or 2 of each of those feels and let him pick exactly what I'm going to read. So I guess that means I should take a look and see what we have here. Because like there's a mystery. An older mystery actually, but it's like 286 pages, which is pretty short. The book feel is Clever Deception, which I feel like that could be good. And it's from 1936. So I'm pretty sure I haven't read it before, but I mean like that could be a good choice. I don't think I'm gonna be going into any romance ones this time. I just feel like I already have quite a few on my TBR, both from things that I've put on there and from arcs that I have. So I think I'm looking for something separate from that. There's a couple thrillers that I feel like could be. We have one that's called A Silent Shocker and one that is a mental twister. I think I'm gonna go with, maybe we'll pull The Silent Shocker. That could be good. I don't know what that means exactly. Okay, so the only other thing is we have like contemporary and literary fiction. I mean like, so the genres that we have the horror and thriller and mystery that I talked about. We have romance, we have sci-fi, we also have fantasy. Some of those ones are showing up as like chunkers of a book. Like the fantasies are saying like over 500, 600 pages for like every single one. I don't think I necessarily want that. There's another book that I've considered before, but I can't tell if this is one that I've recently read or if it's something completely different. I mean, that could be. Or I know I talked about maybe something that's a little bit cozier, but at the same time a little shorter, and this one's not necessarily short, but magical realism at like 400 pages. Another slightly older one, 1967, definitely older than some of the things that I've read recently, so that could be. A lot of these are from like the early 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, that kind of thing, which in general would be good. And I don't read a lot of literary fiction, but like the one that says magical realism, I'm curious to see how much of that is literary, because a lot of these have very different sort of sounding, like what the book feel is. Like there's another one, like I said, that I think I have not confirmed it. I don't know 100% for sure based on the publication date or the page number, but one of them is called A Time Travel Tearjerker. And I recently read a book that made me cry about time travel. And so I'm like, is that what I think it is? It could be. Okay, I think I've picked 4. Yes, I think I've picked 4 that I'm curious about. I'm going to talk to you guys about them, and then we're going to let Presley pick what we're actually going for. So let's start where we started earlier. I have a mystery that I feel like maybe this will take me out of my funk. Why was it chosen? It's a classic whodunit. This book was selected for its clever plotting and timeless appeal, a standout example of a closed room mystery. I think I've read this before in one of these videos, like the summary, and I do feel like this could be an Agatha Christie, just based on that. And the fact that the page count is 286, so it's the shortest one I think I've picked today. Published in 1936, it's not part of a series, and the book feel is clever deception. I am curious about this one. It's one that I've almost picked in the past. I also picked a thriller. I feel like this could maybe get me out of my funk, and it is a little bit different than the books that I'm currently reading. This one is a debut novel, a suspense-filled psychological thriller with a shocking twist. Its unique narrative structure and masterful use of suspense have made it a standout in the genre. Page count is 323, published in 2019, not part of a series, and the book feel is silent shocker. Again, maybe. I'm curious about that silent shocker. And then I picked 2 contemporary / literary fiction because, again, I'm curious. The first one was the Time Travel Tearjerker. Why it was chosen was an innovative narrative that weaves everyday life with a tinge of the fantastical. It masterfully delves into human emotions, relationships, and poignant life moments. The unique blend of the ordinary and extraordinary makes it a must-read on our list. Page count is 227, published in 2020. It is part of a series, and the book feel, like I said, as I drop it, is Time Travel Tearjerker, which makes me think potentially it's Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which I read last month. Absolutely loved. 5 stars. Made me cry. It does have time travel elements. My copy is over 227, and I think it was first published in the UK in 2019 versus 2020 here in the US. So, like, again, and it was originally published in Japanese, and this is a translation. Like, I don't know if that counts or not. So we'll have to see if that's what that one actually is. If it is, I've read it. Next one, though, is another contemporary literary fiction. That's part of the reason I picked this, because, like, I'm thinking that if it does get picked, might be a book I've already read. This book was chosen because it offers a surreal and beautiful reading experience that is quite unlike any other. Its imaginative narrative and rich prose have influenced a generation of writers. I don't know anything about what that means. Page count is 417. This is the longest one I've picked so far. Published in 1967, so again, outside of the more contemporary publishing years, not part of a series, and the book feel is magical realism, which is part of the reason I picked it, because I'm not a big contemporary literary fiction person, but I do like magical realism. Like, I'm very, very curious about that. So, like I said, I'm gonna grab Presley. He's gonna pick one of these for us, and we'll see where we go from there. So I picked 4 cards that I'm interested in. And you're gonna help me pick which one I'm gonna scratch off and read, right? Yeah. So we have a mystery that is clever deception, a thriller that says silent shocker, a contemporary which says time travel tearjerker, or another contemporary that says magical realism. You can pick any one of these that you think I should read. The first one, okay. So he chose the mystery. I'm going to scratch this off, and I'll come back with what it is. Do you want to read what the book says for them?
Yeah. Cards on the Table.
Okay. Cards on the Table by Agatha Christie. I was right about the Agatha Christie. I've never heard of this one. Okay. Okay, so it says it's not part of a series, but it does look like it is a Hercule Poirot mystery. So, like, companion novels, maybe? I mean, technically it's number 15 in the series of all his stuff. A flamboyant party host is murdered in full view of a roomful of bridge players. Mr. Shaitana was famous, as were his parties. He was also a man of whom everybody was a little afraid. So when he boasted to Poirot that he considered murder an art form, the detective had some reservations about accepting a party invitation of cards and viewing Shaitana's private art collection. Indeed, what began as an absorbing evening of bridge was to turn into a more dangerous game altogether. Okay, I have some Agatha Christie's up there. I don't know if Cards on the Table is one of them. I will take a look. But like I said, I don't think I've ever actually heard of this one, but I knew it was Agatha Christie. So yeah, I need to get my hands on this book so I can read it. Good morning. Just a quick update, I guess. So I was able to get Cards on the Table through my library on Libby. So this is an ebook. They had an audiobook version, but it's at least 2 weeks out. We'll see if that happens or not. I'm hoping to read it before 2 weeks, but like just in case they update it and it comes in earlier. And I also double checked on like my library's website of like what they actually have in stock. They do not have a physical copy. So yes, we're gonna be reading it on ebook. Now, normally this should not be a big deal because I've read lots of books on ebook, but I've noticed that I've been really slowing down on ebooks lately. Most of my reads this year have been physical or audiobook. And I think part of it is I've got new glasses recently. I made a video on it a couple months ago at least, and this is actually my second pair. I was having too many glare issues with the first one because they polished the edges. Although I've had glasses, like even my most recent ones before these, that had polished edges and they were fine. But I have an astigmatism and we have to get like the anti-glare coating and like all this kind of stuff. And I still feel like there's something a little bit off with that. So like sometimes when I'm trying to read on my phone, mostly books more than apps. So maybe there's a setting I need to try and figure out. When you look to read, like you're not necessarily using the middle part of your frame, or at least usually I feel like you look down, you use the bottom part of your frame. These are not bifocals or progressives or anything like that, but there is gonna be a little bit distortion maybe at the bottom. I'm noticing so much more. Sometimes the words look like those like weird 3D glasses you would used to wear where like one lens was red and one lens was blue. And so like I'm getting that effect trying to read on my phone. Like the words look off. They look blurry around the edges and there's some like color differentiation. So like I have not been reading my ebooks very much lately, which is part of I think why it's taking me so long to read some of my NetGalley arcs. They're e-arcs. And like I've been trying to read multiple. I'm in the middle of 2 that I started reading before they came out. I talked about this. And yet I'm behind because one of them was like a 300 something page romance. I've spent 4 days trying to read it and I'm barely halfway through. Like it's just taking me longer, more brain power. I'm also tired at night. So like finding this on ebook was not the plan. This was not what I wanted. The audiobook would have been fine. I would probably at this point prefer a physical and they don't have that. So I don't know if I'm gonna like this enough to spend money at a store. Maybe like if I could find a used bookstore, maybe, but like all the used ones online are even like $4, $5, $6. That's no. We're gonna use my library for now. So I did start it last night. I only got about 10% of the way in. I only read for about 20 something minutes because Elliot ended up taking a nap yesterday. And because of that, she was up until past 10 p.m. And so by the time she fell asleep, I read for about 20 minutes and then I was like, nope, there's no way I can stay up and do this. I have to go to bed too. So we're basically following Poirot as he meets this Shaitana guy, I'm pretty sure is his name, who he describes as being like this person who throws a lot of parties, very influential, very high up, but nobody likes. And he gets invited to this party where apparently Mr. Shaitana collects murderers. That was sort of the impression he was giving, like the people who got away with it. And so we go to this party and like Poirot's there. There's also some like police chief or a commander or something like that. There's a couple different people that are like more military slash police focused. And then there's also this other group of people that we don't really know that I'm assuming are the murderers. After they have dinner, they go to play bridge, and there's like 2 different rooms full of bridge people. One is Poirot's group and one is the other group. And at the end of the night of playing bridge, Poirot's group is done playing and they go to like find the other people who are also still playing bridge. And Mr. Shaitana is in a chair by the fireplace, deceased, stabbed to death apparently. And so they're like, it obviously has to be one of these people. That's where I've ended. I know there was like an author's note, I'm pretty sure, at the beginning of the story that mentioned this is supposed to be a story where like every single person who is being suspected of the murder could have done it, and we're supposed to be using our psychological wits to figure out exactly who did it. I'm pretty sure that was the author's note at the beginning of the book. So like, we're gonna see, I think there's like maybe 4 or 5 people that were in that room, exactly what is going on. The writing style's okay. It was written like what, in the 1920s? So it's like not my favorite writing style. It's very sort of bare bones. But I'm curious about like how they're going to portray the whole story and everything. And obviously I've heard of Agatha Christie before, but I feel like this is a story that I've never really heard of. Like people hear about like the murder on the Orient Express or the ABC murders, that kind of thing. This one feels a little bit more unique, maybe a little bit more underrated. We'll see. Okay, so it is just about 4 o'clock and I wanted to make a little update. I did go get my hair cut today and it feels so much better. It was getting long. It had been over a year since I got it cut. It was getting a little bit like, I don't know, split ends. Elliot likes to pull my hair, that kind of thing. Hi, Presley. I think the length is really good. I washed it again just to sort of see how my hair would work. And I think the curls and everything are looking pretty good. I did ask for layers, and like I think it worked in the front, but I feel like there's not as many as I wanted. But overall, I'm very happy with it. But so because of that, I'm not quite as far into the book as I would have liked. I'm now at about 31% of the way in, and we just finished like extra interrogations of one of the characters. So basically what I've read today at the beginning is after the sort of murder goes down, there's 4 suspects and they do like a little interrogation at the very beginning between Poirot, and there's an army person, a police person, and like an author of mysteries. And so those are like the people trying to figure out what's going on. And then there's 4 murder suspects. They do like a little interrogation, and then we've moved on to questioning like the first person. We're now going to be moving into the second one, but I haven't continued that yet. And it's very like, let's think of it this way. Maybe this is why somebody would have murdered them. And again, like I said at the beginning, there is like an author's note, and it does mention that this is some people's favorite book and some people's least favorite book because it is very sort of introspective in a way. One thing I will say is I'm not really minding that, but it has a lot to do with bridge. Like all of Poirot's questioning specifically is about the 4 rubbers of bridge they played, and I don't understand a single thing that's happening. But I guess part of his questioning and his reasoning is like their personalities while playing the game. And I feel like it's gonna have a big reasoning into like what is actually going on in the story, and I don't know what it means like at all. Like it means nothing to me personally. So I am going to be continuing. I have a couple hours left, it looks like, according to my Bookly app. Like I'm gonna finish it. Obviously, I just sort of need to know what the mystery is, but I don't think I'm enjoying it as much because of the whole bridge aspect, because it seems like it's gonna be a big part of it versus like the whole introspective personality, figuring out why these people could murder somebody. That's fine. It is a little bit slower, but I'm not really minding it. It's just more like there's so much bridge stuff and I don't get it. So yeah, we're gonna continue. I'm gonna go through at least the next 1 or 2 people before I check back in. Maybe I'll read more than that, we'll see, but I wish I understood a little bit more. Okay, so haven't really read much, but we're like on vacation now. We had a couple friends come in from out of town, back from Arizona. And so we're gonna go to like Mount Rainier tomorrow and things. Hi, girl. And so we're at like an Airbnb type of situation. So definitely gonna do more reading and things, but it's like a really nice place. And I just need to like make the time to do the reading. Has made a house in my library. Goes all the way behind the beanbag to over into this bucket with this plastic thing there, so she can have a window / door. You made it? Okay. I have about an hour left of my book. I'm gonna be trying to finish it today so I can edit this video and have it go up. I haven't had things go up in the last couple weeks because we've just been so busy doing things. Like my last video was a trip we took, and we got home and I edited that and everything, and then it was just like, still felt like non-stop stuff with kids, and we're during summer vacation and people are here, and so like it just feels like I have not had a chance to actually like stop and film or edit anything. So I started this video thinking I was gonna do stuff in between and then post this, and it hasn't been. Also, this book is like 200 something pages. It was the shortest one that we picked, and I've officially been reading it for like 4 days. That should not be possible right now. It is. So the last time you guys saw me, I think, was when we were on another vacation. We had friends come in from out of town, and so we decided to go up Mount Rainier. We went 2 different days in a row. One more in the evening to like actually go up to like a really, really pretty hiking spot and stuff. And this is one that we've tried to see multiple times, and the parking lot is always full. And by parking lot always full, I mean parking lot and like auxiliary parking lots and down the way of one mountain, where like even if you get a parking spot on some of these other places, you would have to do an extra hike to get to the hike. So we finally got in, and it's because we went around like dinner time. We were there from like 7 p.m. to like almost 9 p.m. But the light was still good because, you know, summertime. And then the next day we went to a couple other places that were not like nearly as popular. So it was in the morning, it was still sort of early, but it wasn't nearly as crazy busy as it could have been. So I'm glad we did that. I did get a little bit of reading done when we were like waiting to have lunch, because we actually finished all the stuff that we wanted to do a little bit early, and the place we wanted to have lunch wasn't open until noon. So I have about an hour left. I read some more last night. I don't know if I have anything else to really say about this yet. I do want to like finish it to really see, but basically, like I said, we have the 4 different characters that are more like on the solving the crime side and then 4 suspects. And so basically we've just been sort of following them. Poirot's questions are all about bridge, which I don't understand. There's been some other people talking about stuff that's like not bridge focused, and I feel like we are just getting into like the psychology of these characters and the potential of them actually having been murderers in the past, because of the fact that like that's what Shaitana was saying, is I collect murderers. These are supposed to be people where the murder would have been impossible to solve. Like they definitely 100%, if they murdered, got away with it. And so we're diving in a little bit onto like what would those previous murders have been. So I don't think we have any knowledge on like the current case. We'll have to see when it comes to a full conclusion. I can sort of see why this is like a less popular Agatha Christie, or at least in my opinion, like I've never heard of it before. And I think partly for that, it is like the bridge stuff. Like, does anybody actually still play bridge nowadays? Maybe somebody that's like older, like an older generation maybe, but like the people in the story, one of them is like 25 and it's like still like a very common thing to do. I have no idea what any of the things that are doing bridge are talking about, like rules, scores, anything. So I'm definitely missing some of the story because of that. I'm going to try and finish reading today. I'm going to start right now. Elliot turned 3 recently, so we actually do have her 3-year well child check today. Hopefully I can finish it before we need to go get ready for that. Okay, so I have finished. My book actually finished, so I was reading it on Kindle. I think I mentioned that I was reading it on Kindle because I could not get a hold of a physical copy. It finished at 85%. And then there's an excerpt, which must be quite big, I guess, of Death on the Nile. So ended quicker than I thought it was going to. I will also say that even though I still was slow in reading this, I did finally, for I guess some people, change my Kindle reader settings to like the night mode type of situation. And I do think I don't get as much of the weird wiggly words and text as I used to. I used to not have it on like white, but like on the like parchment-y sepia toned. Apparently that doesn't work for me anymore. So I did change the settings. It works better. It ended quicker than I thought it was going to. I will say the bridge aspects, Poirot does still bring those back in the reveal of everything, and I still don't fully understand that. Like, I almost wish there would be maybe some sort of adaptation of this, because like the actual like reveal of things, there was a couple different twists and turns in there that I didn't see coming. There was some red herring stuff that was put in that I did think was real, but it was a red herring. So I do think for the actual like mystery aspect, this was pretty good. But because it relied so heavily on some of the bridge things that I do not understand, I didn't enjoy it as much as I could have. Like an adaptation where maybe they take that out and put it in a different way. Like maybe there's a different type of card game or a different type of game that would work. Like I'd be very curious to see that, because if I try and take that stuff out, the actual mystery aspect and the reveal of who did what and things like that, I think was really well done. It did feel like it ended a little bit abruptly because of the fact that I was expecting more book and there was an excerpt, which I feel like I could have prevented if I had a physical copy, because then I could have seen exactly where it ended versus the excerpt. I usually do that, is like, where does the book actually end? So that is not necessarily a detriment. It was just a surprise. I'm done. But yeah, I'm gonna give it like a 3, because yeah, it was one of those things where like, yeah, it was fine. The writing style, again, is a little bit more of like that sort of classic, you know, Agatha Christie 1920s type of thing. And it's a little bit more plain in like the words, although Poirot uses a lot of like French and stuff, and there's like no translation. I had to like Google quite a bit of like, what does this actually mean? Like, what are they saying here? So like, it's fine. I've only read a couple other Agatha Christie's, and I do want to read more in general. I just don't think maybe this is like the best one, because of the bridge aspect. Probably, like I said earlier, I'm pretty sure probably why it's not as popular as like Murder on the Orient Express or other things that you've probably heard of. This is like book number 15. Hello. Yeah. In the Poirot mysteries, out of who knows what, but like, I've never heard of this one before. I'm glad we got to pick it up. That's one of the things that I like with plot twists specifically, is the idea of getting books recommended that are a little bit more off the beaten track. Like, there are definitely some that are super popular. Some of the ones that we've read already, super popular. And I'm like, well, that's obvious. And then there's ones like this where I was like, oh yeah, it's Agatha Christie. I was very sure about that, but it wasn't one that I was expecting. And it wasn't one that I had heard of before. So I guess that's going to be it for me today. Let me know if you've read this Agatha Christie, because like I said, I don't feel like I've ever heard anybody talk about this one. Let me know if you know what Bridge is, if that would help you or not. And then it's actually going to be about time to get ready for Elliot's doctor appointment. So I actually finished it, like I said, earlier than I thought I was going to, which is good. And she's moving my chair. So that's going to be it from me today. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos. I do have videos coming out Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So I will see you in my next one. Bye.